Okay, guys, so if you saw the thumbnail, you know that I'm going to talk about my cancer journey. I have had cancer twice. The very first time I had cancer, I found the actual lump myself. This was in 2006. I was on a business trip for the company that I was working for at the time. And I was in the hotel room and I was talking to, excuse me, I was talking to my then fiance. We're married now, have been for 19 years. But I was talking to him on the phone, and I just happened to uh, scratch, over on the left side of my breast, and I felt a lump. And at least what I thought was a lump, it was a knot, and didn't know what it was. It didn't feel like, if you remember in class, when you were in high school and they started taking you through the classes where you could understand what a lump would feel like. It didn't feel like that. I was still nervous because I knew it was something, different, just didn't know what it was. So when I got back home over that weekend, that next week, I called my OBGYN and I told her about the situation. I talked with the nurse and they got an appointment set up. So I went in to see my OBGYN. She did a breast examination and she said the same thing. She said, well, it doesn't feel like what a typical, lump will feel like. But we're, not going to take any chances. We're going to get you tested just to make sure that, everything is good. And one of the things about this is that I had gone through my yearly in it was September or October of 2005. So it wasn't that far away that I had already gone through, my yearly and everything when it rolled around to the next year. By that time, there was a lump there. And at that time, I was not getting mammograms because you didn't start getting mammograms until I don't know if it was 40, the age that they had that you would start mammograms, unless there was a reason for you to get mammograms. And I wasn't doing them because I didn't see a need to. So I went in the next week after that for that appointment. They did a needle biopsy and they did a needle biopsy on the left breast as well as under the arm where the lymph nodes are at, and they were just basically trying to see if it was cancer, had it spread, to the lymph nodes. Testing came back a couple of days later, and my OBGYN calls me. That's one thing I really love about her. Still with her to this day, is she made the phone call herself versus a nurse or just anybody, just calling. And you and I both know doctors and different things can get very busy, but she made sure that she called me. She set me up with a surgeon, which was a black female, who also set me up with a black, oncologist. She liked both of them. And it wasn't the fact that they were black, it was just the fact that she knew them, they were close, and she knew how good they were. And it just made it even better. Now, one thing that I found out after I started going to the surgeon to, go through different tests and things that we had to do is that she is a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, and so am I. So that made me feel even better. My oncologist, same thing. She was a member, and still is, of Delta Sigma Theta. So it was just like things were being put in place for me, which made me feel so good because of the fact that it is a scary situation. I never thought about dying or anything like that. I know people think about that. That wasn't something that crossed my mind. I don't know why, because I definitely was scared. I definitely, I didn't know, really what to do. And my personality is I'm very strong, person. I like to do things, on my own. I was brought up in a single parent, household and everything. My mom's very strong. I got all of this, from her. But no matter how strong you are, you still need people, in your corner. And thank goodness, like I said, I was engaged at the time. My fiance, was there. So I had family and friends around me, but it was very scary. So when I did go and I got that needle biopsy, it came back from that. I then had to start setting up appointments with the doctors that my OBGYN, referred me to. And when I talked with the OBGYN, her name, the surgeon, her name's Dr. Scott. She made me feel comfortable, and she's straight shooter. She give it to you exactly, the way that it is, which I like that. I like to know where I stand at all times. I like to deal with people that way. I like to work for people that are that way because it just level sets me. But she gave me all of the options that was out there, and one of them was to get a mastectomy. I was 30. I was getting ready to turn 32. I was 31, but I was getting ready to turn. Well, hold on. No, I was 32. I was getting ready to turn 33, and when I ended up doing the surgery, everything happened very fast. So found a lump in April, did the surgery in May, but then post that surgery, I was going to get married in July, and I did in July, but I had to do chemotherapy. I had to do radiation. All of these things were coming up. So once I did the surgery and everything, and I talked with the oncologist, I asked her, I said, can I wait to do the chemo into after I get married? And the reason I wanted to do that is because I just didn't want to be bald and going through all of that while trying to get married. Now, if it was life-threatening where it was like, no, you need to start this chemo immediately, and I would have did it. But that wasn't the case. Once I had the surgery, that put me in a better position. Everything came back great, from the actual surgery. Everything was cleared out. Even the surrounding tissue, they check all of that. It came out great. But I then still had to do the rest of the stuff. So went through got married, went honeymoon and Ocho Rios and everything. When I came back in July, that's when my process started with, I had to get a port because I hate needles. I don't know about anybody else, but I hate needles with a passion. I'm not going to volunteer to give blood. I'll buy you some needles. I'll donate money. I don't like it. That's just me. So I ended up getting a port, and a port is a automatic, when they put the needle in there, they don't have to feel around. They're always going to get a vein. It's connected, to your vein and everything when they put it in. So they said that was better. They said because if you go to the point, and they were giving me scenarios where veins could collapse, and after, getting so much chemo and the sticking, and I'm like, no, because I'm a one stick person. You stick me and you don't get a vein, I'm going to come back, tomorrow, maybe next week. You don't get 2 sticks, and you're not going to stick me and move it around. I can't stand that. Maybe it's me. I'm just saying, I hate it. But I got the port. I started my chemo, and the way my process was, I was doing TAC. And I don't remember what each letter stands for, but if you put in Google TAC, chemotherapy, it'll tell you. Basically, the letter is the first letter of the, I say poison because that's basically what chemotherapy is. It's killing, the bad cancer cells in you. But I had TAC, TAC. So when I started my chemotherapy, I basically had to do 6 sessions, which meant that I would get my chemotherapy, and then 3 weeks later I would come in for the next session. So basically 18 to 21 weeks dealing with having to get chemotherapy. And this was, like I said, the tack that I was talking about. And I did lose all my hair. My nails, they darkened, a little bit. They didn't get like black or purple, but you could see that they had darkened. And with the hair, it was gradual, type loss and everything. It wasn't immediate, but I could see it starting to thin. And so what I did, which shocked me, was I basically, once it started thinning a whole lot, I just shaved my head. And my husband is the funniest thing, because when I shaved my head, he was at work. And thankfully at this time when I was going through this, the company that I worked for, I got short-term disability. And so it gave me, was it, can't remember if it was 3 months or 4 to 6 months. I can't remember what it was now, but it was 100%, paid with, the short-term disability. They were really good from a from that perspective. And so I was at home at that time. I didn't have to worry about work or anything like that. And I knew there was not anything going to happen in regards to my job. But I was at home. I ended up shaving my hair. And my husband, it's kind of like a double take where you don't say anything. You come in and my husband's kind of like, but he doesn't say anything. He's just like, he looks, but he doesn't say, he doesn't say anything. And he never really, said anything. But yeah, I ended up shaving my head. A lot of people talk about, oh, you should take a picture, so you can remember, this moment and, what you look like. And I'm like, yeah, no, I don't want to remember that. I don't like, I didn't like the bald, head, and all that. I know that it was something that you were going through. I get it. I just personally, that was the only piece about the cancer, as far as from a physical thing, that I did not like. I wore wigs for a short time, but I didn't really like it. Once the chemo therapy and all that stopped, it did start, to grow back. And they were telling me that with when your hair starts to grow back, they said typically it's the opposite of what it was. So at that time, my hair, every 6 weeks, I had to get a relaxer. I mean, that was just the way that it was. And when it came back curly. It came back with a better texture and everything. Like, I twist my hair now. I wear it natural, but I haven't had a relaxer in 19 years. And I won't, go back to that. Now, I have flat ironed my hair because I was in corporate America, and that was something that I wish I didn't do. But I do like the natural, of it now. But when I was going back into corporate America, just the vibe of what I felt corporate America was, it wasn't the natural hair and everything. It's a lot better now. But you still feel some kind of way in certain companies that you work for, and whether they will actually say it or not, you can kind of see it, in the management and the way that they dress, how they look, on what is accepted or not accepted, even if it's not said. But it had got a lot better, and not to say that there wasn't tons of people in corporate America that is wearing the natural look and everything, but I didn't see it when I looked across, the executive board and everything at that time. Now, when I left that job after 19 years, actually 18 years, after I left after the 18 years, it was better. and I could see myself and even more, people there at the executive level. So, but yeah, so that was my journey from there with the chemotherapy and me having to endure that for 6 weeks. After I finished that, then I had to go into radiation. And radiation was every day. And it was, I can't remember if it was twice a day. I think I only had it once a day. It was every day, once a day. And I had to do that for 6.5 weeks, which was mind-boggling. It didn't hurt or anything. It did darken the skin, but I did a lot better with it because some people say they burn, it irritates them, they can't deal with it. It wasn't like that with me. It just felt like small, like little pins. It was aggravating more than it was painful, so which was a good thing. But I endured that. It didn't impact me, in any way as far as making me tired or anything like that. The chemo made me a little tired, not like drop dead, tired the whole time, but it did that first week. So when I got the chemotherapy, that next week is when I was tired. The week after that, I was good. But then the following week, I had to go right back to chemo. So it was like tired the week of, and then, the next week I was good. But no impact from the radiation. I didn't get tired. It didn't really hurt a whole lot. But I did a lot of research and reading and talking to different people. Like I used natural soaps and different things like that. I stopped using harsh type things on my hair and, skin and face. That was another thing that it was kind of, my skin kind of felt dry, during the chemotherapy time and all that. But that was pretty much it in a nutshell. I know it may seem like I'm simplifying it, now, but it is what it is. Now, that was the 19, years ago. And now I was diagnosed with cancer again in October. But this was stage 0 cancer. The cancer that I had before, it was like stage 3, because it had metastasized. It was a little bigger, not huge, but it was a little bigger, which puts it into that stage 3 type area or whatever. But this one, stage 0, they found it that early. And when they showed me the actual, I guess, film, I was getting a mammogram and they check it and everything at that point. When they brought it back in there was some calcifications, little bitty pinhead dots on the actual x-ray. But when they blowed it up, they were so small. I don't know how that doctor actually found it. I was impressed, with it because you and I both know you always work with people, but not everybody is on top of their job all the time. I thank God that this woman was, because it was just so small on there that I don't even know how she saw it, but she did and wanted more tests ran. They blew them up further, then brought me in, did another needle biopsy. And this one was a little different than a needle biopsy I did before. It was really pulling tissue and stuff out a little deeper. It was kind of like a deep needle biopsy where you're laying on the table and and different things. And it was it was painful. It actually hurt, when they did it. A lot of compression and stuff. They had to numb it up really well, on there. But it came back that it was cancerous, but it was contained in the milk ducts. I forgot the proper name for it, but it's like a situ. I wish I remember the full name of it, but basically it is cancer in the milk duct, but it was contained in that area. So when I did the surgery in October, and they go out a couple of centimeters more to get tissue and test it, when it came back, everything was clear. So it was less evasive. It had not spread, out of that. I had did tests years ago to see if I had the BRCA gene, which if people come back and they have the BRCA gene, it's better to get a mastectomy, at that time, because it means that you have a better chance of cancer returning. I don't have the BRCA gene. Mine was BRCA negative. So I was happy about that. And like I said, I went 19 years, no issues. And then, to have it in October, but it was cleared up, so by November, everything was good. The only thing that I have as a residual from cancer this time is I am back on tamoxifen, which I took tamoxifen when I had cancer the first time. I was on it for 10 years. This time I'm on it, it's going to be for 5 years, but I'm okay with that. If that is all I have as the aftermath, from having cancer again, I can deal with it. So I know I said a lot, but if anybody's watching and there's any questions that you may have, if I can help you, I will definitely do it. You can ask the questions below. Other viewers, I'm sure, if they have gone through things, they may be able, to answer questions that you may have, as well. And it's more so about not medical questions, but just the journey. How did you deal with such and such? How did you feel when this happened? Did you talk with your minister? Do you have a church family? What did you do? How did you go through that? So any questions, there's nothing off limits for that, but hopefully this video can help somebody. Like I said, I just wanted to let you know my journey, with that. But I can say going through that the first time, it definitely started making me think differently. Like I said, I never thought about dying, but it made me appreciate life even more. And that's when I just started doing a lot of the entrepreneur type things that I liked. I started writing, children's books. I started wanting to be a publisher. I started just getting into, those particular things, and I loved it. And I never looked back. Getting it this time made me really see that the decision that I made to leave at 50 was the right decision to make, because I don't want to be in corporate America my entire life. That's just me. There's nothing wrong with anybody else doing it. This is no knock on anyone else. This is my journey. But I didn't want to be 59 and 60 and 70 and still having to work in corporate America. And you don't have to. I didn't have to. No one has to, if you put the right pieces and steps in place to make sure you're taking care, of yourself from a financial, standpoint. There are lots of things you can do to kind of pave that way and pad your account so that you are okay regardless of what happens, because even though you're in a great job now, doesn't mean you're going to be in that job next week. You never know what a company is going to do. So always be prepared. So I hope this video helped you out. Tune in for my next video.
Yeah.